The Light We Built, Chapter 8, The Work. By the next week, the place no longer felt like something being built. It felt like something that was already there, not finished, not settled, but present in a way that didn't require imagining anymore. The first cottage stood complete enough to walk through without noticing what wasn't done. The second held its shape fully now, walls closed, roof set, the inside beginning to carry its own quiet. The third had risen quickly, its frame no longer lines in the air, but something that held space. You didn't have to stand back to understand it. You could step into it, and people did. Morning came the same way it had been coming, without announcement, truck doors closing in the gravel, coffee already in hand. The low hum of the radio, somewhere off to the side, never loud enough to lead anything, just enough to keep the silence from settling too heavily. Noah moved first. He didn't gather anyone, didn't call out what needed to be done. He stepped where the next thing was, and the next thing happened there. Jack had started to see it. Not all of it, but enough. He watched less now, moved more, picked things up before they were asked for, held where it mattered, set things down where they would be needed again. Once he stepped ahead of Noah without realizing it, set a piece in place before Noah reached it. Noah stopped, looked at it, then at Jack. A small nod. No correction. Jack carried that longer than anything that could have been said. Oscar didn't move ahead. He didn't try to anticipate. He stayed where he was placed. But he didn't drift. He watched everything, listened, remembered where a tool had been set, who had asked for something and forgotten it, what needed to be carried back before someone went looking for it. He moved through the space like it mattered. Because it did. Pete noticed early. "You keep this whole place from falling apart," he said one morning, handing Oscar a small box of nails. Oscar took it carefully. "I just don't forget," he said. Pete smiled. That's more than most of us can say. The work stretched across the days. Not separate, not marked clean, layered, morning into midday, midday into afternoon, afternoon easing into evening. The second cottage closed in. The sound changed. Less open, more contained. Work happening inside the walls. Now, instead of out in the open. Voices softer, movements more careful. The third followed behind it. Faster now, not rushed, but understood. Hands moving with less hesitation, less checking, more knowing. By midday, the heat settled in. Not sharp, just present. It slowed things without asking permission. Someone sat first. Someone else followed. Water passed from hand to hand. Dust clung to skin. Shirts darkened across the back. Margaret came out more often now, not carrying anything complicated. Sandwiches wrapped in cloth. Fruit cool from the shade. Something sweet that disappeared quickly once it was opened. She moved through them quietly, placed things in hands, checked without making it obvious she was checking. She watched. Noah steady, Pete consistent, Jack no longer waiting, Oscar holding his place. She took it in like something she would keep, then went back inside. The diner held the rest of the day, the part that didn't belong to the work, but carried it anyway. The bell on the door, the rhythm of plates, coffee poured without needing to be asked for. Lois sat where she always did, not separate, not in the way, just there. She and Margaret spoke easily now. No careful distance, no need to explain anything. Caroline moved without hesitation, between tables, behind the counter, wherever something needed to be done. Jack came in later most days, dust still on him, work still in his shoulders. He washed his hands slowly, not because they needed it, because the day hadn't quite left yet. Caroline noticed. "You done?" she asked once, setting a glass of water in front of him. He nodded. "Yeah." She stayed there a moment. "How's it feel?" Jack thought about it, standing inside something that didn't move, something that held. "Real," he said. Caroline smiled. "Good." They walked most evenings. It didn't start as something planned. It became something that happened. After the diner quieted, after the last plate was cleared, after the lights softened into evening, Maple Street stretched out easy. They walked side by side, sometimes talking, sometimes not. Neither one felt like something needed to be filled. One evening, they stopped at the edge of the cottages, not stepping in, just looking. 3 of them, standing clean in the fading light. Caroline studied them. "They don't look new," she said. Jack glanced at her. "They are." She shook her head slightly. "They feel like they've been here." Jack looked again. She was right. There was something in them already. Something that wasn't just wood. The shift to inside work came without announcement. It just happened. Floors laid, walls smoothed, paint going up slowly, each room taking on its own quiet tone. The smell of it settled into the space. Not sharp, just new. Furniture came in over time, not all at once. Carried carefully, set down, moved, adjusted. A bed turned so morning light would reach it better. A table shifted so chairs didn't feel crowded. Curtains hung, then taken down, then hung again when they didn't fall right. No one rushed this part, because this part stayed. Margaret brought the paintings late, when the rooms were ready to hold them. She carried them herself, wrapped in cloth, edges protected, hands steady. The first painting went into the front cottage. Jack held the nail. Noah set it. Margaret unwrapped the cloth slowly. A field at dusk, light low across it, trees holding the edge. It didn't ask for attention. It held it anyway. When it was hung, the room shifted. Not louder, quieter, like it had settled into itself. Margaret stepped back, looked, not at the painting, at the room. She nodded once. It belonged. The second painting went into the middle cottage. Caroline stood nearby, watching. Margaret unwrapped it. Color came first, then shape. A roadside stand. Crates light, familiar without explanation. Caroline smiled before she realized it. "That feels like here," she said. Margaret glanced at her. "It does." When it was hung, they both stepped back. The room took it in, held it. The third painting went into the last cottage. Smaller, quieter, a table near a window. Light across it. 2 chairs pulled back slightly, like someone had just stood. Margaret held it a moment longer, then handed it over. Oscar stood nearby, watching everything. "Where does it go?" he asked. Margaret pointed. "Right there." He walked over, stood where she had pointed, held his hand up like he could already see it. "Okay," he said. When it was hung, he stepped back, looked at it, then nodded. "It's right." Each cottage changed after that. Not decorated, settled, like they had already been lived in. The parking lot took shape without drawing attention. Gravel spread, leveled, pressed down. At first, it looked unfinished. Then it looked like somewhere people would arrive. The playground came last. Posts set deep, structure rising piece by piece. Swings hanging still. The slide catching the late light. Jack tightened the last bolt, stepped back. Pete came up beside him. "That'll hold," Pete said. Jack nodded. "Yeah." They stood there a moment, then moved on. Margaret and Lois walked it that evening. Every cottage, every room, doors opening, closing, light shifting across the spaces. Margaret touched things as she passed. A chair, a curtain, the edge of a table, each painting. She paused under each one. Not long, just enough. Lois watched her. "Well," she asked. Margaret looked around, took it in fully. The work, the space, what had been made. "It's ready," she said. Noah didn't add anything to that. He just nodded, looked toward the cottages, then back at his coffee. That night, the diner stayed open a little longer. No one said why. They just stayed. Pete at the counter, Lois talking softly, Margaret moving slower than usual. Jack stepped outside. Caroline followed. The air had cooled. The cottages stood quiet beyond the diner light. 3 of them, finished, holding everything placed inside them. Caroline looked at them. "They feel like someone's already there," she said. Jack thought about the rooms, the paintings, the way everything had been set. "Yeah," he said. "They are." The work was done. Not rushed, not stretched. Finished the way it was meant to be. And waiting